Hi, this is Zack Wheeler. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. It's Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Phillies dropped the series finale against the Orioles on Wednesday. Jim was at the ballpark on Wednesday. Jim is at the ballpark still late on Wednesday as we are recording this episode for you on Thursday morning. We've got Phillies Director of Video and Broadcasting Services, Mark DiNardo, coming up in a bit to talk about the whole Jhoan Duran Durantula Experience, which has been a blast so for at Citizens Bank Park. Before we get into some other things, I want to mention that we're going to be taking your questions, post-trade deadline questions on Friday morning. So fire those away in the comment section on YouTube and in all of our different various social media channels. But Jim, series finale Wednesday, Phillies drop it. They had a chance to sweep. Tell us a little bit about what you saw on Wednesday before we get into some news, some big news potentially that happened before the game, kind of the story of the day.
No question. So Ranger Suarez, for the second straight start, gave up a 3-run home run, and they couldn't come back from it. They lose 5-1 to the Orioles. Good homestand. You win a series against a good Detroit team. You win a series against Baltimore. They failed to complete the sweep, but a lot to feel good about during this homestand. They moved back into first place. They hit 11 home runs. Kyle Schwarber had a bunch of them. Bryce Harper had a couple, and we're all gripped by Durantula mania.
Right, exactly.
Phillies got themselves a closer, and he had a couple saves in this homestand. But I think you're right. The big news to me was revealed before the game. Rob Thomson's going to move Zack Wheeler back a couple days in the rotation. He had some shoulder soreness after last Saturday's outing, and that might explain some things. Recently, I think it's a pretty significant story.
Right, and let's start there, Jim. This is the a fantastic and important first pitch. First pitch is brought to us exclusively by our partners at Park Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. So, Jim, tell us a little bit more about what Zack Wheeler, what is going on with Zack Wheeler, according to what Rob Thomson told everybody on Wednesday.
Yeah, when Rob revealed his rotation for the Texas series, which starts Friday night, he had Wheeler going on Sunday. That's 2 slots back. Revealed the sore shoulder after Saturday's outing. They sent it for an MRI. Rob seems pretty unconcerned, says he's not concerned, said it's nothing. He's basing that on the fact that the MRI was clean. There's no structural damage. They feel good about that. But I don't think we're going to know until, Sunday. And it's something to watch because he's indispensable for this team the rest of the season. He's indispensable for where they want to go in October. There are very few #1 starters in baseball. He's going to be the guy you want on the mound in game 1 of a series. He's going to be the guy you want if you get to game 7 or game 5 in a series. He's that important. So anytime you hear a guy like that, especially with his mileage, he's 35 years old. Since he's arrived in Philadelphia in 2021, just under 1,000 innings, the most in Major League Baseball over that span. So heavy workload. So I think it's something you have to be concerned about until you see him back on the mound looking like Zack Wheeler again. Last 4 starts, he's been fine, but he hasn't been Zack Wheeler, the Cy Young candidate we're all used to seeing. Last 4 starts, 0-2 with like a 4.9 ERA. A couple numbers, he's given up 27 hits in 23 2/3 innings over the last 4 starts. And the velo is still pretty good. It's maybe a tick down. He's still getting a lot of strikeouts. But it's the command. He talked about that after last Saturday's start. And, he's hit 5 batters in the last 4 starts. He only hit 3 in his first 18. He's given up 6 home runs in his last 4 starts. He only gave up 11 in his first 18. So when he says the command is not there, there's some numbers to back it up. Now we might have a reason with the soreness he felt after Saturday's start, and we have an MRI to make you feel a little bit better. But like I said, Sunday will tell the true story.
Yeah, anytime.
Or more of the story, I should say.
Yeah, more of the story for sure. I mean, I get why Rob says he's not concerned the MRI is clean, but anytime you hear I always tell people, like, anytime an injury, anybody talks about an injury, view the information, take that information kind of skeptically, look at it with a skeptic's eye, because you just never know. I mean, sometimes it turns out to be exactly what they say. It turns out to be nothing, I mean, I remember when Wheeler had a sore elbow, forearm, whatever they called it, right? In September 2022, you're sitting there going, oh crap, Zack Wheeler's got a bad elbow. This is not good. And they said, no. It's going to be fine. We're just going to shut him down for a few weeks. We're going to give him some rest. And obviously he came back and he was incredible in the postseason. So maybe this is that same type of thing, but you never know. No one's ever going to come out and say, the manager's not going to come out and go, I got to be honest with you, the MRI is clean, but I'm losing sleep over this thing. So, we'll find out on Sunday, but this kind of looking even further down the road, say he comes back and say he pitches well, man, I'm telling you, they've already kind of kicked around the idea of a 6-man rotation at some point. They have some long stretches coming up of, I think they've got like a 13-game stretch coming up, beginning on Friday, actually, is the first game of a 13-game stretch. And then they have a 15-game stretch in early September, from September 3rd to the 17th. They've talked about employing a 6-man rotation at that point, at some point. So you certainly,
we might see some of that. I mean, certainly, I think there's reason to see that, if nothing else, just to preserve and make sure you have a healthy Wheeler going into October. Nola's going to make 2 more starts down in AAA and then be back. So there would give you some depth. I mean, Painter's up there. To me, this would have been a good time. I have actually asked Rob, did you think about maybe skipping him? Just, saying take a rest with that workload. That would lend itself maybe to taking a cameo look at Painter, like they did with Abel back in May. Or was it May or June when he first came up for his debut against Pittsburgh? That was a 1-shot only deal when somebody was banged up. I mean, you could have done that, but he said, no, there's no reason to. He's feeling fine. I know Zach is pushing forward. He's the guy who wants to take the ball. He hates any time off, never mind a couple extra days. So he's in the Cy Young race. I know he wants to keep plowing forward. So hopefully he'll come out of this feeling better, but it's definitely something to watch. I hate to say like the Phillies season hinges on it. I mean, I think that's hyperbole, but he's that important that you really need him, and you really need him to get over this. Hey, that was First Pitch, brought to you exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. ParksCasino.com is the website. If you have a gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER is the number to call. And remember, you need to be 21 to participate.
Phillies fans, whether you're sliding in a home or just chasing your kids around the yard, staying mobile matters. That's why we trust Rothman Orthopedics. From sports injuries to joint replacements, they keep you moving. With top specialists who care for the best team and the best fans in baseball, Rothman's got your back, because at Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility is their mission. Visit RothmanOrtho.com to schedule today. If you're watching us on YouTube, just scan the QR code on your screen.
It's summertime, it's bathing suit time, and it's time to get a better bathing suit liner. It's 2025, Kratz. I would like to feel more comfortable, and I would like to thank Fair Harbor for doing that.
It's super easy. Get the Fair Harbor Breeze Knit liner in your shorts. You can go play football on the beach, you can play paddle ball, and you don't got to worry about that crappy liner that other bathing suits have.
It is so comfortable. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's like butter, baby. You got to check out the Fair Harbor, not only bathing suits, but they carry a full line of casual clothing, shorts, shirts, hoodies. Go to the website, fairharborclothing.com/foul, and use code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. That's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul for 20% off your first purchase. And make sure that you use the FT promo code so that they know we sent you and you get the discount, FOUL.
All right, so here we go. We talked the other day, Ruben, Jim, and I chatted with Mark DiNardo, who's the Director of Broadcasting and Video Services. A lot of talk, Jim, of course, about Jhoan Duran and the whole the light show and the spiders and the music and the phones. And it's been a lot of fun, so we thought we would catch up with Mark. Here he is. We want to welcome Mark DiNardo to the show. Mark is the Director of Broadcasting and Video Services, and he is part of the crew that is getting the Jhoan Duran Experience off and running in Philadelphia, which is like the thing now. It's like the big thing. You come to a Phillies game, Mark, welcome to the show. First of all, we were talking about this the other day. Sunday night might have been the only time we would have ever seen a starting pitcher pitching a shutout going in the ninth inning, and Rob Thomson getting booed for letting him go out there because they wanted Duran to pitch the ninth. How has this last week been for you since you got Duran with the Phillies?
It has been crazy. I mean, it has been a wild weekend. The Duran part of it is just, one component of the weekend. Remember, it was Wall of Fame weekend. So we had all kinds of activities and all kinds of production that were already in motion before this trade even happened. We did know about Duran beforehand in terms of what his closer entrance was all about. One of our game producers, Emily Rutson, is a Minnesota native and follows the Twins still quite closely. And, in the conversations we had leading up to the trade deadline, they were like, "Oh, I hope we get this guy. His entrance is awesome, and we'd have so much fun with it." So when we got the notification that the trade was made and official, about 2 hours later, I started getting texts from people in the front office, some people in baseball operations, and then obviously my team that basically said, "We're going to have this thing ready to go on Friday." And my first response was, "Oh, you're hysterical. That's great." Friday. It was less than 36 hours. But we went ahead and I realized they were serious. So we got a Zoom call together on Thursday morning. We broke down the Minnesota video of his entrance. We broke it down to its individual components. We made assignments to our own crew and we set them on their way. Knowing that it was going to be a last minute deal one way or the other. So they're off. They're trying to redo the music, the custom mix that he had done. We're tracking down Fire templates to render the animations. We're looking for spider models, all kinds of things like that. And I thought to myself, boy, what would be perfect is if we could just get some answers to the questions. It might help expedite the process. And I reached out to a good friend of mine at the Twins, colleague Sam Henshin, who we've done work with before, and asked him, I'm not asking you to give us your show or to do it for us, but can you at least point us in the direction? And he was more than happy to lend us an assist, and he connected our graphics designer, Sydney Warwick. He connected her with their graphics designer. He sent us the actual soundtrack, the custom soundtrack for Jhoan's entrance, and we were off to the races. Then it was a matter of basically building these animations for our displays, trying to come up with a light show in the interim, and getting all the components together and being able to test them out before Friday night. We were able to get into the ballpark. We were there all Thursday night. Thursday night, we ran through a number of scenarios, but we also did a bunch of run-throughs, and we were able to get to a point where we were really comfortable. The only problem is when we do these kind of shows in the ballpark, it's usually programmed down to one button. You take all these elements, fire the music, fire the animation, cue the light show, things like that. It all gets programmed into one button. We couldn't do that. Everything had to be manual. So that night, I'm like, got my foot up on the counter, hitting a mouse to trigger the music and reaching over here and shutting off the lights to the ballpark and, doing whatever we could to try to get all the things going at once, and we were able to pull it off. So then the next night, again, everything was a manual process, but we had individuals in place to do all these things. Right. That's kind of the lead up to it. So once you get the technology kind of worked out, then you're thinking about, well, what about the different scenarios in game? And so I went back and forth with Ned Rice, and we got the proper permissions to do the show. Mm-hmm. And then Ned and I were working through the different scenarios during the game. What if we're down? If we're down, how many runs? Would we send a cameraman out there to the bullpen? if it's a hold or a save, all these basically parameters that we hadn't walked through and we were kind of doing in real time, which was fun. We've never put a camera in the bullpen before.
Right.
We worked very closely with our rights holder and our partners at NBC Sports. Chelsea Johnson is our producer, and Kelsey Laudner and Mike Mulligan was the director that night. They helped us out. They put the cameraman out there. They were able to work their telecast as such that they moved commercial breaks so they could take the entrance live. That night they happened to have a drone that was flying around the ballpark, so we had access to that as well. So everything kind of came together. So we go down in the game early. I think it's 3-0, and it's not looking great. But I said, like, yeah, 3. That's not insurmountable. Not with this team. We tend to get hot a little bit later on in the game, and as we got closer and closer, you could feel the buzz in the crowd. I mean, they were up for the game. There's no doubt about that. They want to win the game, but they were absolutely looking for Duran, and they came there prepared to see that show and to participate in that show. And then when we took the lead, I mean, the place was just electric. So we already had the cameraman out there. We were able to get our timing right. We were a little rough around the edges, but it worked fabulously. And I got to tell you, I was really, really proud of my team that worked on the elements. I was really proud of the communication that happened within the Phillies organization, between our departments and baseball ops, between us and the Twins. It really worked out well. And if any one of those components had not worked out, I don't know that we would have been able to do the show on Friday night.
The Bet Parks app. It's really cool. I've been actually fiddling around with it quite a bit lately and playing some of these games. We've talked about it a million times, but Huff and More Puff is pretty cool. Cash Eruption, Capital Gains. There's some really, really cool games. But in addition, you can go on sports and you can literally bet on anything for the game. Philadelphia, you can bet pretty much pitch to pitch. You can bet all types of parlays, all types of stuff. You can do it right here on the app. It's pretty darn cool. They also have BetWire, which is on the app as well. It's for your sports betting. It's a live feed right inside the Bet Parks app with quick videos, hot takes, game predictions by some people from all over the country, pretty famous people. And new casino users can get up to $1,000 cash back if you're down in your first 24 hours. You got to see betparks.com for details. You must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You love to play, you love to win, you bet Parks.
Mark, that is amazing cooperation between you guys, the Phillies and the Twins. Did that surprise you that they were so willing to, give you guys their hard work and their show?
Well, they didn't give us everything. Mm-hmm. We still had a lot of work to do on our own, but the assist they gave us was paramount to us getting it done. Did it surprise me? No. I've been in this business for 40 years. I know the camaraderie between the production people and the game entertainment people, not just in baseball, but in every sport. We're always watching what the other people are doing. We're always talking to each other. We've got annual conferences where we get together and do our thing and network together. We've helped out teams in the past. They've helped us out. So it's not unusual. Mm-hmm. But I was pleasantly surprised at the length they went to help us out. And that's a tribute to them as an organization, to their respect for Duran as a player, mm-hmm. And really for the game of baseball. They knew they created something that was awesome and that the fans enjoy. And, we weren't going to reinvent the wheel for the sake of reinventing the wheel. If this is branded with this player and it works for him and the fans are excited by it, why would we want to make wholesale changes to it?
Mark, so when I make changes in my front office and we are looking to try to get a player and we make a trade and we're, in the front office, we're high-fiving each other, we're digging on each other. What happens in the production room when you guys pull this thing off and it ends up working? Do you have that same sort of electricity, like where you guys like, oh my God, we did it. This was awesome. This is the coolest thing. Because I got to believe that with all the hard work and all the machinations you had to go through, that you guys had to be pretty fired up in that room.
We were, and you painted the picture perfectly. We were excited. We don't normally get that excited at the trade deadline, unless you've got Cliff Lee coming in or somebody like that. You'll know, but you know about that. But they were super excited. So when we sat down on Thursday morning and I talked to them, I knew I had a huge ask to ask them. They were already up to their necks in Wall of Fame stuff. And I came in, my first lines were, I said, listen, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and tell you, we have to do this. Forget about everything else that you're working on right now. And I said, I'm saying this in a clinical way. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we have to do this. There's no not doing it. And if we have to drop some stuff, if we have to reassign projects, if we have to cut back on what we're doing, we're certainly okay to do that, and we're in the position to do it. And to a person, nobody complained at all. And a lot of people had a lot of extra work to do. Sydney and Ariana Krizak. Sydney was doing the graphic design and creating all the animations, the fire and the spider. And Ariana Krizak then had to take these animated files and program them onto our displays to make sure that everything fit nice and neat. And if you were there earlier on Friday for the game, you'll see that all the way through Phillies batting practice, we were still tweaking the animations because they were chopped off in some parts and not fitting properly in others. And that's a testament to the dedication of these folks. They're so proud of what they do, and they were so excited about that. I can't say enough nice things about them.
Real quick, Mark, when you did your practice or your dry run on Thursday, the day before he made his debut with you guys, did you have to wait till nightfall, till it was dark to practice and do the lights and everything, so you get the full experience?
Yes, we had to. We wanted to see what it looked like for light levels for the animation and the fire. We knew that more times than not we'll be running that in a dark environment, but there are going to be day games where we got to run it as well. But we did. We waited until probably 7 or 8 o'clock to start with that when the sun had gone down. And I got to tell you, from the moment I saw the animation, I got chills. And nothing really, after 40 years, nothing really excites me that much. I was excited, and then when I saw the spider come across the right field display on the field, I lost my mind. I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Wow.
So I was curious, on the day games now, it comes up, get your phones out. Will they be doing the same thing on a day game?
During the day games, we won't do the prompt for the phones out. Right now, it's our intention to run the animation, run his music, follow him out of the bullpen. So you're really going to get everything but the light show component of it. We will run the lights in the ballpark. I don't know that they're going to have that much of an impact, right. But we won't break from that. It won't be anything special. The things we have to work out are, what are we going to do if the Phillies go on a winning streak and he hasn't pitched in a while and he just needs to get his work in, and he's coming in a low leverage, non-save situation? We'll probably just run his music and save the show for those big moments.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then I know you've got some more things planned. Like the show is not finished yet. You're still planning on some tweaking, modifications. What can you tell us about? What can you tell us? What you can tell us, and what else might be in store that you can maybe hint to or just refer to?
We met on that this morning. We're looking to implement some minor changes by next homestand. Those might be, instead of having the Liberty Bell, we are able now, in addition to changing colors, you can run video files through that LED product. And so everything that we're going to do is really going to be contingent on fire and the flames. We also have heard from a number of people who are obviously experts in spiders, that the spider we have in our animation is not a tarantula. It's a black widow spider. So we're working on correcting that as well. I'm hopeful it'll be equally as disgusting and scary as the black widow was. So I think you'll see some changes and some twists based around flames, which may or may not happen. But we don't want to mess with it too much. Right. But we would like to put a Philly spin or a Philly twist on it if we can.
Right.
Hey, the Black Widow is 2 for 2 in save chances.
Yeah. No. Hey, Jimmy, don't think we don't hear and think about this. Like, don't change it now because we run the tarantula out there. Now all of a sudden we're going to be, do we run the Black Widow or the tarantula? What are we doing today?
And then the phones will, if you accept something on the MLB ballpark app, can like be synced to the light show down the road. That's a down the road thing.
Yeah, well, we're discussing that right now, and that's one of the new features we put in this year and got passed through. So you can work on it'll work with the MLB ballpark app. People can turn their phone lights on regardless; they don't need the app. But the lights will be synchronized with the music. So the difference would be if you connect to the app and hold your phone up, that light will be beating along with the music, and it'll give it a cooler effect in ballpark. So we're looking to do that as well. I have to add, as much fun as it was doing this, and as much of a challenge as it was, we had no idea what the impact and what the reaction from the public was going to be. We didn't know the magnitude of it. When the game was over, we breathed a collective sigh of relief because we got through it and we got to the finish line. When we got home, when I tell you I have not finished answering all the texts that I got from people that saw it. One of them was not Jim's dog, but we did get we got texts. And that people were telling us that the reaction online, on the internet, and the number of views that it had gotten on MLB or on our own website was in the millions. So we didn't set out to do it for that, but we now understand, or at least I understand, everything that we do has the potential to resonate outside of the ballpark and have an impact on social media. And that makes us happy, and it makes us a little bit more determined because we're not doing it for just 40,000 fans. We're looking to do it for the millions of people and who are out there watching TV and watching highlights on the internet.
Mark, I wanted to ask you, like, you guys, the Philadelphia Phillies are in the business of winning ball games, and you win with your athletes. If a particular walk-up music or a particular, entry for a closer, like Jhoan Duran, makes that guy feel good and puts him in the zone, do you have a responsibility to come through for that guy, to make him perform, put him in a good frame of mind so he might perform better?
Oh, we absolutely do. And there is a ongoing conflict between sponsorship, entertainment, and what the players want, and they don't always align. So we're constantly in compromise mode. But when these guys send us up their music, that's the least we can do. If it makes them happy, if it gives them a comfort level, the only thing we need to do is to make sure it's clean. And there hasn't been a single guy since 2008 that has sent us a clean version of their song. So we spend a lot of time either trying to clean it up ourselves or finding a clean version. But it does mean a lot. And we've got the scars to show. We've got a lot of stories over the years of players who very superstitious, like Chase, and never changed it. we had Raul Ibanez, who called up one time in between games of a doubleheader, and he had a really bad first game, and he said, "Just pick something for me that would, make me want to go out and commit a felony." He said, So we get texts from our communication staff every day. God bless Nick. Nick Castellanos is one of our greatest customers. He changes his songs a lot, but
Right.
all the guys are pretty much into it. But that's our responsibility to do that. But it's also our responsibility now, when the fans embrace something like this, to put it out there, for them and let them play with it. It's really tough. If you try to, it's always a big leap of faith to try to do it on your own. And that's why I really commend the Minnesota Twins for doing that. Most of these big things usually happen organically. At least they happen organically in Philadelphia. Philadelphia fans hate to be told what to do. They're smart people, but if you're going to want their participation in the closer entrance, then we'll let them know a little bit. But I was shocked at how many people lit up their phones. And we had only had that prompt that was out there for about 10 or 15 seconds. I told my staff, I don't think we even need to do this.
Yeah,
these folks are ready.
They're on it.
Yeah.
It's funny how much the technology has changed. I remember Brad Lidge in 2008. I think that you really couldn't do much. So it was just on the scoreboard. It said like lights out Lidge. And now you think about how far it's come. Well, I wrote something the other day just about the closer entrance songs. And I was trying to fill in some gaps, and I emailed Mark and I said, "Hey, I need these 6 guys or whatever." Mark, how far back do your archives go in terms of walk-up songs, entrance songs, warm-up songs? Like if I said, "Hey, what was Chris Snelling's song in 2008?" or somebody totally random, like how far back does it go where if that guy showed up and you wanted to play it, or somebody wanted to ask you, you could pull it up and find it for me? Because you found everybody's I asked for you the other day.
I can promise you I don't have Chris Snelling's song.
Okay.
And I don't know what that was. I want to give a shout out to a guy named Mark Wyatt. And I think you may remember him.
Yes.
Mark was basically the music guy for all 4 teams at one point in the South Philadelphia area. He was doing Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. He's one of the first guys in Major League Baseball who really introduced the sound effects in game and some of the other cute stuff that we've done over the years. And he's moved away from it for health reasons, but he really built the foundation. And he was a guy, Todd, that would be able to, he kept a list, his own list. So the archives only exist really as far back as when he stopped working for us, which was right around the pandemic. But we can tell, we've got a pretty good idea from some other records of a little bit further back than that. I started back in 2006, and I tried to keep good records, but anything before that was before my time.
Hey,
So
Mark.
you wouldn't have my walk-up song, I guess.
I have 2.
Does anybody know what my walk-up song was?
What was it?
It was One by U2.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's a little slow.
I'm gonna make a note of that.
What was in 2008? What was the song you had to censor?
In 2008.
You said there was only one song. Maybe you didn't.
No, I said that since
Several.
since 2008, all of them send up the filthiest, most disgusting songs you've ever heard.
Oh, okay.
And now, now the challenge is, and sometimes I think that our Latino ball players are messing with us. We have to get somebody to translate. We'll get songs from Latino artists, and they're Latino rappers, and
They're
just as aggressive with their lyrics as the American rappers are. So we really have to vet that carefully because we don't want to offend anybody in the ballpark.
Hey, Mark, we love a good story on this on the Phillies show. Didn't Ruben save your life one night?
No. That wasn't him.
Yes, it was Ruben. You, back in 2006, it was my first season with the Phillies. This is memory I'll take to my grave now. We ran a replay on Fanavision of a home run with a fan reaching over something. We ran it. This was before replay and back when the rules were even tougher than before. So we run this replay. The crowd goes nuts. They're booing the crap out of the umpire. And I get a call in between innings from the supervisor on site saying, the umpires would like to talk to you after the game. I'm like, all right. I knew it was kind of borderline, but that'll be fine. So I go down to the umpire's locker room after the game, and I walk in, and the clubby there says, hey, hold on, they'll be right with you. The guys are in the shower. So I'm standing there and waiting. So the first umpire comes out. I think it was Laz Diaz. He's holding a towel and nothing else, dripping wet, just came right out of the shower holding the towel. Then the other three umpires come right behind him with no towel. So I am in a room with 4 naked umpires that are all simultaneously yelling at me. And I don't know where to avert my eyes. I'm looking, here, there. I look over to their buffet table. And of course, it's a buffet of like big sausages and the bratwurst or something. I'm like, this is my worst nightmare. There's a knock on the door. In walks Ruben behind me. And he's like, Mark, I got this here. Guys, he understands. It was a mistake. It won't happen again.
That's awesome.
He got me out of there. So for that, Ruben, I'm eternally grateful.
Ruben, you're a hero.
No, I'm not.
You got the save that night, Ruben.
Yeah, you got to save.
I respect the job that our folks did, and I know that they would never ever want to disrespect the game itself or the umpires. That's just not how they operated.
Right.
Well,
right.
The in-game entertainment at Citizens Bank Park is second to none. And you mentioned you were in this business for 40 years. It's amazing how far it has come. When I used to go to Fenway Park as a kid, they had an organ, and all the kids used to chant, "We want to hit. We want to hit." That was the in-game entertainment. And now we have spiders and tarantulas and light shows. It's great.
What's been great? It's been a great career. It's been a lot of fun for me. I started at the Spectrum, worked my way up and through what was the Core State Center to begin with. But when Eric Lindros had his first game for the Flyers, we put lasers. We had a laser light show before the opening face-off, and that in itself was remarkable back in whatever it was, the late 80s or early 90s. Right. But the Spectrum was such a decrepit building. We probably, we probably violated, I don't know how many laws and rules. That catwalk up there that we had to store all this stuff, it wasn't even fit for a human being to walk around, but we were able to pull that off. And so every year there's always something new and different that other teams are doing that want to be integrated. Some things work really well in Philly. And then there's other things we look at and we say, oh, that's great for Seattle. That would never go over here.
Right.
So
right.
We're always kind of, trying to be a little conservative in the way that we approach things. But it's always a ton of fun, and it's an honor and a pleasure to do it. Like we tell people, you've got one of 30 jobs like this, in the country. So respect it, protect it. And the other thing I tell them is make sure you know your replay rules, or you're going to get naked umpires.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly right. Well, the Duran show has been a lot of fun, and it's certainly brought a lot of excitement to the ballpark. And I've heard from so many people that have said, I've watched that 5,000 times on my phone. I just keep hitting replay and replay and replay because it gets them so excited. So, and it's excited the fans and the players. And everybody.
It makes us feel great. We're a little uncomfortable with the attention. We're the people that are in the background, and right. We're in the background for a reason. We kind of stay off the radar because that's just who we are. So the amount of attention we've received in the last 72 hours has been remarkable and really almost overwhelming. But we know our 15 minutes are almost up. We're going to ride it out as best we can, and then start focusing on the rest of the season and the postseason, hopefully, to have some big things in store for them.
Well, at least you got to do the Phillies show.
Yeah. bucket list item, and I can die tonight a happy man.
well,
Thanks,
well,
Mark. Thanks for joining us,
Mark,
man.
thanks so much for joining us and sharing a lot about this this fun experience that Phillies fans are going through. We appreciate the time.
Well, thank you guys, and keep doing a great job. We love the show.
Thanks, Mark.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.